What's going on, everybody? It's your Route 1 Buzzy Yubari Eradicate, back with another episode of Design Decks, a series where I will be drawing every single Pokemon in the Pokedex in order, from memory and then from reference, while I discuss my likes and dislikes, and why I think the designs are raw as fuck, or not so great. I think most of them are, as the kids would say, raw as fuck. But, there's some stinkers in there. And there's some that are raw as fuck that I don't have a whole lot to say about. And, I try to create evergreen content here. That's always the goal. You want to be evergreen so that people, if the Earth still exists in 20 years, if YouTube still exists in 20 years, people can go back and enjoy these times, these videos, from their bunkers underneath the ruined radioactive plains of the Earth. But I'll be real. I did these drawings like 3 months ago, and then I kept trying to record the voiceover or whatever, and I just don't have fucking anything to say about Beedrill. I've been trying. It's only like a fucking 20-minute long video. And I just can't, I don't have anything to say about Beedrill, really. So I'm going to do my best. But, like I was saying about evergreen content, the issue is that, so I was having trouble, I was struggling, right? And then the whole pandemic thing hit. And so, I work in retail. I work in a grocery store. And so I was not getting the quarantine time off that everyone else was getting. And so, as usual, every day that I'm not working, I'm horribly exhausted. And so it's been tough for me to get back to this, especially because I keep thinking about okay, so what am I going to say when I finally get around to doing it again? And I just, I've had to just accept that all I have to talk about is that I don't have anything to talk about. Although this video has become a little more relevant now because, if anyone's paying attention or if anybody remembers, if you're watching this in the future, they've just announced that the murder hornets, murder wasps, murder bees, whatever the fuck they're called, have arrived here. I don't remember where they're from, but they're these giant, horrible hornets that if they sting you, you die. So that's cool. And they're around now. But I think I'm going to have an intrusion here in a sec. But, so the Weedle line. Food's in the microwave.
Okay. I got scared because I was like,
I'm recording, but I've already stated that, what I don't know. You want to say hi, Silva? Do you have anything to say about Beedrill?
He do be a hornet, though.
You've seen about the murder wasps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Asian murder wasp.
Yeah.
The one specifically from Japan that somehow got released in New York, the
most densely populated city in the U.S.
aside from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how that happened.
Well, it's topical because Beedrill...
Topical, just like ointment that you need for when you die.
Yeah, for when you get stung by a wasp. Beedrill himself is based off of the Japanese hornet, which is another horrifically giant, insect. Hornets are hornets and wasps are really awful creatures.
Yeah, me too.
They're no, because bees play a role in our, in the ecosystem. Bees, spread pollen and stuff, and they're important to have around. And I like the bees. I support the bees. But wasps are kind of like mosquitoes, where I'm would we really be losing anything if we just didn't have any wasps around? I got stung by a paper wasp one time, and my girlfriend at the time caught it, and my mom put it in resin. So now I have the perpetrator who stung me. I have his carapace in a fucking resin block now. I don't know if that's fucked up or not. Let me know in the comments if that's fucked up or not. But yeah. So Weedle here. He's a goofy little looking guy. He's known as the hairy bug Pokemon, which I don't know if all that brown is supposed to be hair or what, but that's what he's called. He's the hairy bug Pokemon. And basically, their whole deal is that they use their big ol' honkin' proboscis to sniff out the particular leaves or whatever whatever food they enjoy eating. And while they're eating them, they hide underneath the leaves. And then if people step on them, they sting the shit out of them and like give them poisons. So they're kind of douchebags, honestly. They're not very nice Pokemon. But they do have big, funny proboscises. I'm a big fan of anything with a proboscis. My from memory drawings from these were all right, except for Kakuna, because my brain like fell apart. Because normally I'm pretty good about Kakuna because like he's my favorite of the three, I think, actually, like visually. Because I like Beedrill, but I think Kakuna's really cool looking, and I don't know why. I think it's just because he's so angular, like he's got so many little like edges on him and stuff, and he's got that little like you can see his thorax like sticking out of the bottom of him there, and it's really like big and defined, and he's a thick little boy. I like him, and he's kind of shaped like a dick too, but that's all right. We love dick out here. It's 2020. If you ain't gay, I can't relate. But anyways, yeah, he's just a cool little guy, and then I remember seeing that art that I have up there with his little claws out. I think they refer to them as his stingers, which I don't know. The Pokédex entries say that it can extend its stinger to defend itself, but that's not a stinger. Those are 2 claws. But those are like only in the card artwork and in like either the Gen 1 or Gen 2 sprite or something like that. So I don't know what the deal with that is, but I think it's really cool that he has little scythe hands. Because it's just like Metapod just sits there, and you can't imagine Metapod doing anything but sitting there. But Kakuna looks like it could fight, like it can't move around at all. It still shares that with Metapod, but you get the sense that it could do more than nothing at all. And I think it does. It retains Poison Sting when it evolves. I think what's his name, Caterpie and Metapod. I think Metapod can only have Harden and Tackle and String Shot maybe, but I do believe because Weedle starts off with like Poison Sting like level 5 or something, or level 3, I don't know, but every Kakuna I've ever had has had Poison Sting. So, but yeah, very cool Pokemon. But in my little like from memory drawing, I just completely forgot about like all my favorite parts of him, and I just I fumbled it, but it's okay. I'm pretty sure the Pokedex talks about him having like his little soft meaty body underneath. I can't remember now because that was like months ago, but I can't remember now if that was just Metapod or if Kakuna had that too. Let's take a look. Let's look up live on recording. We'll just look this up. Kakuna. What's Kakuna got? I'm looking for Pokedex entries. Kakuna. Almost incapable of moving, this Pokemon can only harden its shell to protect itself when it's in danger. Well, that's contradictory to its original text. I have so many fucking pop-ups right now. It's ridiculous. Oh, that's actually its red and blue entry as well, and X and Y. X and Y just stealing shit. But then in yellow it says, able to move only slightly when endangered, it may stick out its stinger and poison its enemy. Oh, this one's creepy. Stadium says, because it is virtually motionless, it may appear dead. However, inside a new body is being made. That's kind of weird. It's like a little oven. And he's cooking a Beedrill in there. This line, too, I don't remember if I mentioned it last time or not. This is good content, me not remembering the last video I made. I normally watch my last video before I record a new one, but this time I was sitting on the toilet. I was sitting on the goddamn toilet. And I just said to myself, I think today I will finish the Beedrill video. No matter what quality it ends up being, I think I'm just going to finish the Beedrill video. So I don't remember for sure if they mentioned it for Metapod or whatever, or if I mentioned it for Metapod for the Butterfree line. But I believe Metapod and Kakuna were like the first two Pokemon that evolved that like had a whole process for their evolution. because Caterpie shot it sprayed the string shot up into the air and like cocooned itself and became Metapod, and then I think Butterfree's wings, like Metapod would crack open and Butterfree's wings came out of it, and then the whole thing popped out, and it was like really fucking cool. And then that episode where Ash fights Samurai, they encounter the tree covered in Kakuna, and they all crack open, and the Beedrills come out of the backs of them. And that shit's super cool, and that's something that like they stopped doing for a while. I didn't watch much of the anime, honestly. Like I watched most of, or pretty much all of the Indigo League, the first one, because when I was a kid that was what was on, and so I watched a ton of that. And then for Gen 2, I watched some of it, but I don't know. I just stopped keeping up with it really in Gen 2. I do like Tracy. I thought he was cool, and I like seeing him whenever I see him. I hope he gets into like Pokemon Masters or something, because I think he's cool, but I like his headband. But I just kind of fell off of it, and especially in Ruby Sapphire, which where I just completely stopped watching the anime. I don't know, I felt like there was... In my head, I always feel like there's a quality dip in the Sapphire and Ruby anime. Something about the animation just looks really like... It looks too like early 2000s to me. Even though it is from the early 2000s, it feels too much like that to me. It feels like a WB commercial with like the low frame rate and shit.
It's not innovative enough.
It's not innovative enough.
Pokemon Advanced Battle. Probably the best one out of them all.
What do you mean? I was just talking shit about it. But the so in the original anime, they only did a couple evolution things like that. It was these two were like the first ones, and then kind of the last ones. I don't really remember any other Pokemon having cool evolutions. But then like we were just watching the Sun and Moon anime, and when Charjabug evolved, it was so fucking cool because it was like a guy's falling off a cliff, and then Sophocles is a fat little dumb idiot potato chicken nugget, and he can't save nobody for shit. What are you doing near that mic?
When Shaman came out of the bushes because Mallow's mom's dead.
Silva likes Shaman. But, so the guy was falling off the cliff, and then Sophocles couldn't save him because he's got stumpy little legs and everything, and no neck and all that. So then Charjabug just, like, it looks pissed, like its eyes change, and it just started, like, expanding, and then it, like, exploded into Vikavolt. And it was, like, the coolest thing ever. And then, like, what was it? Then Brionne Popplio evolved later, and it had a cool-ass animation, too. So, I love when they do stuff like that. And especially back then, it was really cool with them, like, kind of emerging out of their cocoon or chrysalis. In terms of the games, I would always grab Weedle over Caterpie in that first forest, Viridian Forest, because I like Caterpie better visually than Weedle, but I like Kakuna and Beedrill way better than Metapod and Butterfree. And I think Beedrill kind of always played to my interest as well, because one thing I think is cool about these two back to back, like, in comparison to each other, is that they're sort of direct opposites, and they kind of let you choose how you want to play the game early on in Red and Blue. Because Butterfree is a special attacker, and it's all about, statuses and stuff. It does a lot of, like, paralysis and stuff like that. I think in Sword and Shield, the Gigantamax Butterfree, its special move causes, like, a random status ailment or whatever, between, like, poison, paralysis, and sleep, I want to say. So it's more of a, like, it's more like that. It's special attacking at statuses. Whereas Beedrill is just, like, brain dead gorilla, like, stab the shit out of things, where you're just going for physical attack. And I mean, it's obviously not a very strong physical attacker, because it's like both of them are like incredibly weak, which is kind of a bummer, because like, they're popular Pokemon, but they're just not really usable outside of their special forms or whatever. Because like Gigantamax Butterfree seems pretty cool because of that ability with the statuses, and then like Mega Beedrill is one of my favorite megas, visually and gameplay wise. That was in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire when I got my Beedrill Mega Stone, and I was messing with it, and I was like, alright, well, let's see, since I got the stone, let me see what's his ability and everything. And I was like, oh, Technician, okay, cool, or Adaptability, whatever. The one that changes the stab multiplier from 1.5 times to 2 times And then I'm like, okay. And then he got poison jab, and I'm like, okay. And then he's got X scissor, and I'm like, all right. And I'm like, Mega Beedrill can kind of do shit. Mega Beedrill's got some stuff going on, and he's fast as fuck too. I forget his base speed is like ridiculous. Let me see what his base speed is real quick. I don't normally talk about like stats too much in this, but with Beedrill it's kind of relevant, I think, just because like that's what got me into him. You know, I got an ad for Tumix, the unwanted roommate, and it's this girl wearing a tube top that says "crush" on it, and the guy's like, "What? Ooh." Where the fuck is? Oh, there it is. Let me see here. Can I get a Mega Beedrill base speed, please? Please. Mega Beedrill base 145 speed, so not all that crazy, but I think 120 is where I start going, alrighty, I see you. 120 is a respectable, like, high speed stat, you know? So, whatever. But, yeah, it's a really cool Pokemon, visually. And, I mean, like I said, it's based off the Japanese Hornet, and the Japanese Hornet is, like, a really sick-looking animal, too. So he was kind of destined to be great. His legs were very confusing to me when I was like looking at references to draw him because they seem inconsistent. Everybody seems to draw his legs differently every time, and sometimes they're not like even, like they're not symmetrical where they'll both be kind of like drawn the same way. I did my best to keep them symmetrical here, but you know. Also, this is always kind of fun too. Is when you have like a two-colored thing like this that you have to shade with two different colors. It's kind of fun to me. I don't know why. It's kind of annoying sometimes, but I like the end result a lot. Where, like, look at that. That's cool as shit. A little shiny. I did that. Oh, what the hell? Gassing myself up over like basic ass drawing techniques that I'm probably doing wrong too, because I'm sure there's an easier way to do that. But every time I'm doing something in Psy, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, there's probably a way easier way to do this, or like a more efficient way to do this, but I don't know what it is, so, you know. I figured this stuff all out for myself. I just recently figured out how to like use folders in Psy, so that's cool. That'll probably help me in the future with this, if I need to like move around an entire drawing like I did before. Look at my eyes. Oh, I was really happy with how this came out too. The like the reflection on his eyes, because they're like, I don't know if they're supposed to be compound eyes, but they look like they're drawn like crystals all the time. So they look like just one big eyeball. They don't look like compound eyes. Like Butterfrees, I can see them being compound, but these just look like, you know, the way they're drawn, they're always like reflective. They look like a crystal ball or something. And I love Beedrill's head shape too. I think one of the toughest things about Beedrill is his body proportions, because he kind of has that, like, for me, this is a really weird comparison, but for me, he kind of has like the Sonic the Hedgehog character proportion issues, where like where his head and his torso connect, or his abdomen, since there's no neck or anything, and it's just two balls stuck to each other. It's kind of like I have a tough time, like, you know, sizing things properly and attaching things in the right place and everything. Because, I mean, it helps to have, like, shoulders or something to kind of give you a baseline of where you're putting things. But when it's just two balls stuck together, it's like, you know, it can look weird and you might not know why it looks weird. So I struggle with it sometimes. But, and then this was tricky too, his spear hands, because I was trying to do some kind of like perspective thing with it, but doing perspective with cones is like tricky, and this is one of those things where I can probably look up a billion fucking drawing tutorials for it, but I just didn't, and I don't know why. Like, looking back now, I don't know why I didn't just look up a tutorial, because it's one of those things where you can find fucking shading technique things that are always done on like spheres and cubes and stuff, because it's easy on those. But it shows you the technique, like, you know, it's a really good display of how you're supposed to do things and how light works and everything. But I just didn't bother with this because cones are pretty common too. Cones and pyramids and stuff like that. But I am trying to keep this, like simple colors and simple shading and stuff like that. Like I don't want to go too over the top with it. I'm not trying to do poking like realistic textures on everything. But stuff like this, it can come out looking kind of weird if it's not done a little bit more detailed. So I don't know. It came out like good enough for what I'm doing, But next time I draw Beedrill, I'll have to, whenever I get around to doing the megas. So I guess I'll mention that too. I think I've said before, like I wasn't going to talk too much about the megas during these because I was going to save those probably for their own video. Mostly because like if I had talked about the megas for the starters, each of those videos would have been like an hour and a half long, and they were already too long as it was. So, and like this one, if I had done Mega Beedrill also, then this would have been a 45-minute video. But so I think maybe at the end of each generation I'll talk about all the megas, or like I said, at the end of Gen 6 or something, or when we get into Gen 6 or I don't know what. But I'll talk about the megas eventually, but for Mega Beedrill, it's kind of like, just since I don't have much to talk about with Beedrill, and because I think Mega Beedrill is the coolest thing about Beedrill, it's the kind of thing where it's just like Blaziken's like that too, where I think Mega Blaziken is just how Blaziken should have looked. I don't think Mega Blaziken's all that insane looking. It's not like Mega Aggron where you're like, yeah, Mega Aggron's like, that's clearly like a fucking form, But I think Mega Beedrill is like, he's really fucking cool. And, what's it called? Oh, I lost my train of thought. Mega Beedrill was designed. I fucking lost my thing. Hold on. I gotta find that guy's name. I finally made it through the fucking 22 minutes and now I'm not done. Alright. So, let me see here. I need my trivia open up again. Okay. No. Give me... No. Bad internet. Mega Beedrill was designed by Hitoshi Ariga. Hitoshi Ariga, who was an artist for Mega Man and stuff like that, and he did a ton of like Pokemon that I love. Let me pull up that list again because that's a good ass list he's got. He designed. Let me see here. He did Mega Beedrill, Alolan Geodude through Golem, Alolan Muck, Ingrimer, Pangoro, Inkay, Malamar, Honedge, Doublade, Aegislash, Tyrunt, Tyrantrum, Amora, Auroros, Grubbin, Chargebug, Vikavolt. There you go, more bug Pokemon for him. Minior, Drampaw, Ultra Necrozma, he helped on. Rookidee, Corvisquire, Corviknight. This dude has done like some of the best Pokemon designs. Corviknight is like, we'll talk about it in 2 years when I get to Corviknight, but Corviknight is like unrivaled top 5 coolest Pokemon. I'll just say that right now. I'll get that out of the fucking way for anybody who wasn't sure. Alright, that's where we stand. I think I already talked about that in another video, but I'm going to talk about it again. Alright? Even though Corviknight would eat the shit out of a Beedrill. We need some Corviknights in New York to take care of the goddamn murder bees. But anyway. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for waiting 3 months for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I think. But either way, stay safe. Stay the fuck home. Don't go. I don't care if you're driving to an empty parking lot. Stay home during this time, and wear your fucking mask. If you have to go out if you're foraging for food or if you're running from the murder wasps, put a mask on. Stay hydrated and all that shit. Be good. Be safe. Be healthy. Be kind to those around you who are struggling. I can't fucking speak. Anyway. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.